So having a look at these questions here, these are all around the operating system, and they're all around the different types of software, but also there'll be questions that link to how the hardware translates, is used to kind of translate the machine code to enable it to work with other devices as well. So a lot of the questions that you get that are around the operating system tend to be around the type of software. So if you have a look at the income, so it gives you here like different types of software that things can fall into a bracket of. Now, if you were to look at the income tax calculation software, you've got a number to choose from here, but think about it. Income tax, who is likely to use that? An accountant, so that's specialized for them. So then when you look down this is special purpose application software. All right, so that's why that would be a G. All right, now let's have a look at this one. Translator software for C++ programming language. Okay, now there's two that this could fall into the category of. So they would allow either or on this. What do you think it would be?
D.
D would be one, but if I had to do another?
Well, it wouldn't be B because it's not.
It wouldn't be B, you're right.
Right. Could you? I mean, it's also G, kind of.
It could actually also be system software, because there are times where you have to, like, like you might get an error on the computer and you might need to modify it. But generally speaking, I would go for D.
Okay.
All right. So then the next thing, a word processor software. All right. General. That general purpose software is anything that can be used for any different job. For example, I could use a word processor to make a poster. I could use it to do a presentation. It doesn't necessarily have to be just for that job. So what it means by general is it can meet multiple needs. All right. Then the operating system. Yeah, that is system software. You need the operating system on the computer, otherwise you are not really able to interact with it. Okay, so what we've got down here is what is meant by the phrase client-server operation. Now, realistically speaking, I would say that doesn't really fall into the category of operating systems here. It's more networking. But when I've dragged all the questions in, I think it's brought that into that category because of the software that might be included within that. So what's your understanding of client-server?
So it's referring to how some computers would be acting as servers, and they like provide their host for.
I want you to look at that. There's some words there that are in italics that you may want to include in your answer. So you would say that the computer, all right, the main computer
is acting as a server
client.
client.
So the computer, so if you are on the PC, you are acting as the client, but then what you have to then do is request the resource through the network. That generally comes from different servers, such as file servers. Give me another.
Databases.
A data server. How do we communicate?
With the internet. So.
How do I communicate? How have I communicated through to you all through the year since I've been teaching you?
Email servers.
Email servers, okay? So with this, you've got the client who makes the request, for the services via an application, all right? And this will be accessed on the relevant server, such as a file server. Yeah, so that's your client part and that's your server part, all right? But again, you need to acknowledge somewhere that a request is made, and that request has to be granted. All right. Obviously, that's only a 2 marker. If it was much further, anyway, we're looking at operating systems and the general workings of the computer. What's your understanding of virtual memory?
So that's when you use the secondary storage as a like if you have many programs running at the same time, you move, and then one of them isn't being used actively, you move that to secondary storage so that it's still held in memory, but because it's not being used at the time, you don't need to process anything.
Right, so what you've just given me there is a kind of summary. Now think of, it's a 4-mark question.
Okay.
Now let's break it down. So first of all, what is virtual memory? It's a type of
like memory location.
It's a type of memory management.
Okay.
All right, so I'm acknowledging that I use virtual memory as memory management. Then what you can say is there are processes in the computer, all right, and so you can say that the applications, all right, are stored. Where are they stored?
In like the hard drive of the computer.
No, they're actually stored in the main memory while they're running.
Oh, okay.
Alright, so they're stored in the main memory while running. Okay. Now, because they are stored in sometimes your main memory is going to get full. Alright, so the main memory can full up. When that happens, alright, so if this is my main memory here, alright, and it's gone, okay, it's full now, alright, what you can do is move processes that you don't need. So imagine there are some processes at the bottom, alright, into the hard drive, and use the hard drive as virtual memory. So processes such instructions not needed are offloaded loaded to secondary storage until needed. That now frees up the space in the main memory. So that's how virtual memory works. But the other thing you've got to remember is sometimes it's not come up. It's not this question. Oh, it's actually in the mark scheme. I was about to talk about that. Sometimes by using virtual memory, you can end up with this issue of disk thrashing. Do you remember what that is?
Say again?
Disk thrashing. So disk thrashing is the process of, well, that's filled up, I'm going to put it back in there. Oh, another one's filled up the space now, I need to move that back. But that continually keeps happening, which can actually be detrimental to the running of the PC.
Oh, okay.
So let me just show you the mark scheme on that one. All right. So memory management technique, transparent to the programmer. The process virtual address space exceeds the physical. That's basically saying we've run out of space. All right. The execution of program which is not entirely in the main memory, less the full virtual. This is basically what I've just said. Execution of partially loaded process. Some is moved into the disk, so the disk is acting as a RAM. Physical memory is divided into, so you can, I did forget to mention that there, alright, but that's kind of what I was saying there. You would have pages and segments,
Okay.
and these pages and segments are moved to the hard disk, okay? And there's a page table that indicates what needs to be loaded and swapped. And then that's where the disk thrashing comes in, because if you keep swapping in and out, it can actually be detrimental. It can actually work out slower than just having RAM.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So what you could do in that case is just, if they asked you how you could improve the performance, if it was a longer than 4-mark question, you can actually talk about increasing the size of the RAM. Okay. Then we have question 3, which is, right, the role of an operating system is often said to be twofold: to provide a virtual machine or to manage the resources of the computer. All right, there's lots of different resources on the computer, such as your memory management for a start. You've got your process management, your scheduling, all of that. All right, but it says what is meant to provide what is meant by to provide a virtual machine.
So that's not got to do with virtual memory.
Mm-mm.
No, okay.
let me help you. So, if I asked you, do you know what command prompt is?
Yeah.
So command prompt, you've got all of these instructions. Actually, in the command prompt, you can actually do a lot more to an operating system than you can when you're using it as a user.
Okay.
Because with the command prompt, you can do all the string manipulation, you can access all the things that are hidden. So the operating system itself, like think about it, where you're clicking on icons, all of that, you're limited. So it hides the
by providing an interface for the user, so it hides the complexities of the machine.
of the hardware.
Of the hardware.
Yeah. So the OS hides complexities of the hardware from the user. Okay? Good stuff. All right. The next thing it says, name 3 types of resource managed by the operating system.
Like, do you have like libraries there? Or
Nope. Resources. Think about it. You have.
applications on?
I gave you one a minute ago.
Yeah, you did. Like memory management.
Yeah, good. So we got memory management.
Allocation time of the processor. Or
Good. Process management.
and then like peripheral devices.
Good. They will not accept like just hardware, like say peripheral. If you put, for example, computer keyboard. Do you see what I mean? They don't accept examples of what the peripheral is. You've got to say like peripheral management. The other thing you could have had is storage management. Think about it. File space. You could have also had backing storage. What they will reject is data and programs.
Okay.
So you said a minute ago application. Okay, it's not application management. Think about it. You run the applications on the computer, but it's actually the processors and the memory that's managed as the result of that. So just a bit of a misconception there. Okay.
Right.
We're going to go on to this, and then I'm probably going to stop this recording and chunk it up in a minute.
Okay.
Give 3 different types of. Let's read the question. An operating system is designed to hide the complexities of hardware from the user and to manage the hardware and other resources. Give 3 different types of management of either hardware or resources that are performed by the operating system. I mean, we've kind of just done that there.
Right.
All right. So I'm just going to show you the mark scheme on that one. All right. So question 4, process management, scheduling. All right. What scheduling is to make sure that the process happens when it's meant to happen. But what you've got to be aware of is that is all one mark. It's just different ways of saying it. Process management. So don't list process management and scheduling in your same answer. You've got to split it up. Same goes here. You'll see allocation of RAM, allocation of buffers or memory. They're all the same thing. Okay. So that's a point as well. Input, output, peripherals, driver device management. Don't say hardware. It's drive, because do you remember operating systems have to have a device driver in order for it to translate and communicate with the peripheral device.
Yeah.
So you may have that. You've got file storage, backing storage. Remember, they all come under the same again. So don't put file storage and then secondary storage because it's the same thing.
Okay.
Power management. I wouldn't really argue that is a huge job of the operating system. I've seen where that's been rejected before, so just be careful with that one, but stick with those, all right?
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll go on to, so I'm not writing it. Explain the purpose of an operating system to me. We've just said it multiple times.
Yeah, purpose of the operating system is to provide a user interface and to hide the complexities of...
They reject user interface.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. So then it's to hide the complexities of the hardware of the machine from
the user. Yes. And that's literally the... Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
To hide the complexities of the hardware from the user or you could have said to AKA provide a virtual machine.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to pause that one.